Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody for our second session. No, we're not ready yet. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our second session, and this one is about CVs. You remember yesterday we started thinking about just what it was that you wanted to do. We now move on to actually taking some action based on deciding what you want to do. So the question you might be thinking of is, why not go straight into searching now that we know what we want to do? Why don't we just start job searching? Well, in reality you probably will, but in principle there's a step to take before that. In fact, a couple of steps which we'll think about. But today, think about your CV, because if you find a job to apply to, you're probably going to need your CV to apply to it. And if you don't need your CV, you'll probably need the content of your CV to apply for it. So it's worth thinking about your CV early on. Don't ignore it. Don't leave it till the last minute, because you want it to be good. You want it to be strong. So what questions might we ask about a CV? Well, we think about style, we think about format, as well as thinking about content. So what about the style and the format? Well, people create CVs in many different formats and styles, and that's fine. But not everybody needs to create one which has got different colours on it, lots of different typefaces, maybe a band of text on the left which gives your name and address and contact details, and maybe some blobs about how good you are with Excel and with Word and with Starter and things like that. Those sorts of things actually potentially detract from your CV, because, for example, if you give yourself 5 blobs for Word and 4 blobs for Excel, what you're really saying is, I'm not so good at Excel as I am at Word, which is not really the sort of message you want to be giving. So one of the most important things to think about is readability, not just for the person reading your CV, but also for the automated CV processing tools that are out there now. Most companies will process your CV automatically and generate a list of keywords, seek those keywords to determine whether you are suitable or not for a particular position. So we want it to be easy to read for the machine, if you like, for the computer, which means probably not having lots of different areas of text on a paper CV, but keeping it nice and simple. So what do I suggest? Put your name at the top. It doesn't need to say CV, curriculum vitae, just put your name at the top. You might then put your basic contact details, your email address, your phone number. The rest of your contact details can go at the end, because people will only want to be able to contact you if they've read right the way through it and they like it. And it keeps them out of the way. So what comes next? Well, probably your profile. Relatively simple, doesn't need to be many lines, can be factual, so you could talk about the things you've studied, the jobs you've had, the internships and so on. You could talk about some of your personal experiences. You could also write it as a narrative. So you could say experienced mechanical engineer seeking a role as, or experienced in, or something like that, experienced in all aspects of mechanical engineering, stress analysis, etc., etc. And then you can talk about some of your key strengths. So you're particularly strong in calculus, you're particularly strong in CAD analysis, whatever it might be. You can put that at the as your profile as well. I would leave out things like determined and tenacious and these sort of words which ultimately don't mean an awful lot. you know, everybody can say that, and everybody may well do, but unless you've got space to back it up with evidence, which you don't have in a profile, then it's relatively meaningless. So I would leave out those sorts of things. But then your next section may well be key skills. And these key skills you will tailor for each job you apply to. Because as I say, you want to hit the key words, the key phrases that the job application needs. So we'll talk about reading the person specification, reading the job specification as we go on to applying in the next few days. But you will find a list of skills that they are looking for in any particular job. And you put those skills in your key skills section, along with all the other things that are in there that you want them to know about you. So that when they do their automated searches, or even when they read it manually, they will spot the sorts of things that they're looking for. Obviously, as you then go through your CV, you will be able to demonstrate the fact that you have these particular skills. So what comes next? Well, if you're just out of university, you're just searching for your first job, then your education will come next. Tell them about your key modules that you've studied. Again, you can order them depending on the type of job you're applying for, so that the most relevant ones are at the top. But give them the degree, the level, obviously the date that you graduated, the modules, the assignments, the key projects, the key dissertation titles, those sorts of things, which get the message over that you are appropriate for the job you're applying for. And then following that, you would have your internships, jobs, whatever. If you're applying for a second, third, fourth, whatever job, then your career history comes next, with your education towards the bottom. So what does our career history or list of jobs and internships actually look like? Well, obviously you're going to have dates, you're going to have company, you're going to have job title. You then want a list of responsibilities and a list of achievements. So I was responsible for ... I was successful in ... You probably won't say I was. You will say successful in delivering a 5% increase in sales over 2 months. You know, when you're an intern, that's the sort of thing that sometimes interns can do. They can have a major impact like that through bringing their new skills into an existing work area. So think about not just what you did, but what you were responsible for and what your achievements have been. So that's because a CV reader is looking for not what you did, but what you were responsible for, what you achieved, because ultimately people buy you on that basis. They don't necessarily buy you on what you did, although it's important to have that as background support for your responsibilities and things. They buy you because you've been successful. And if you're successful for your previous employer, then you're going to be successful for them, given that you've got the key skills they're looking for, given that you've got the experience and so on. So don't forget to make it very clear what your achievements and successes are. You may well want to include your personal interests and things. That's fine. I coached somebody recently who wanted to have astrology on their CV. I wouldn't suggest astrology is a good thing to put on your CV, but certainly things which broaden you in the eyes of the person reading the CV. So you're not just a mechanical engineer. You also play violin, you also paint, you're also into art and music. You know, these things broaden the perspective of you as a person. You don't need to list your referees. It's obvious that you will have some. It's obvious that when they need to contact somebody, they will. So they'll ask you when they need it. Anything that I've missed? Extracurricular activities. Yes, don't forget them. Again, if you're applying for your first job, you may well be able to demonstrate skills and experience that are not visible in your internships and jobs. So don't forget to talk about your positions of responsibility in the student union, or the fact that you've worked in a charity shop, or things which demonstrate that you are again broader than just your studies, and you've gained skills and knowledge and experience in those sorts of areas. So yes, those are just some brief thoughts about CVs. We could talk at great length about CVs, about what should be in them, about the order of things in them, about just what responsibilities we want to talk about, just what achievements and successes, which extracurricular activities are relevant, which personal experiences and activities are relevant. We can talk at great length about these things. This is just an overview. I'll put some examples of CVs that I've created in the comments on Facebook when I finished, so you can have a look and see what you think. If you need any help, then please come to me. I'm always delighted to work with you. But obviously now, as we're going through this process, you've identified what you want to do. Now we need to get onto the CV. So please start thinking about your CV. Start writing, start creating something, because you will find that either you will need your CV or you will need the content of your CV to put into your applications. So that's all for today. Thank you for listening. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. All the best. Bye.